Good morning, Gio. Guys, think about how terrifying this must have been. This is a crowded area of the city. It's just around 11 o'clock at night, people out for dinner and drinks, and then the gunshots. This morning, police in Birmingham, Alabama are searching for what they believe are multiple shooters who opened fire on a crowd last night around 11 o'clock. It happened in the city's 5 Points South area, known for its restaurants and bars, and it is packed on a Saturday night. Video capturing the chaotic aftermath of the shooting. The investigation is still very active, but what we know so far is that 3 people died at the scene and 1 other died at the hospital.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here for Yellowhammer Now. Let's talk a little bit about this hit that happened in Birmingham. 4 individuals killed, 1 who was targeted, 17 other injured, over 100 rounds fired, and they believe that there was a modified handgun being used in this situation, so it was automatic, and it caused some of the damage and pain and death here in this situation. Now, the mayor of the city of Birmingham, who is a complete and total joke and fraud, has overseen plummeting morale in the police department and is now, of course, blaming the Glock switch for the problem. These are the same people who a couple weeks ago were blaming the end of concealed carry permits for the problem. Just let's be real about it. Before we listen to what Woodfin has to say and how stupid it is, these were people who were killing somebody. They didn't care about concealed carry permits or whether or not the Glock switch they carried was just illegally federally, but not illegal on the state level. They don't care about that. This whole argument is a distraction.
It's unacceptable. I think you're in a situation where you have these assault weapons that are being used at a higher proportion. In addition to that, you have conversions in Glock switches that are used on these semi-automatics to make them automatics. And when you pull the trigger, that you can't even handle the gun, all the bullets are released at one time. We're talking about a crime scene that unfortunately had over 100 shots. And so in situations like this, there are preventable measures prior to if police are given tools by state law and or federal law. You know, my position is a nonpartisan position. And so I don't want to politicize a matter where life has been lost and too many people today have to wake up with a new normal where they don't have their loved ones. But I will say this does require a political shift at every level. It does require us to roll up our sleeves and make common sense laws that actually save lives. When you're partisan, you get to just pick a side and stay in your corner. But in my position as mayor, we only want to solve not only this problem, but prevent things like this from happening, not just in Birmingham, but all over our country.
And I want to ask you about the weapons used in the shooting. You mentioned they were believed to have these conversion devices or these switches that allow the weapon to override the trigger mechanism on a gun. So it essentially functions as a machine gun. You mentioned over 100 casings. I know the U.S. Attorney's Office in Birmingham announced an initiative cracking down on those illegal devices in July.
If the mayor actually cared about what was going on in his city, he would be begging for the attorney general to get involved like he has in Montgomery, which, by the way, the second safest city in the country, according to a report last week. And I was down in Montgomery, oddly enough, this weekend, and every police officer I spoke to, I brought this up to them, and they all laughed. They all laughed and said that that's absolutely ridiculous. But that's one of the arguments you're going to hear from some geniuses down there. But forget about that. Get the state involved. I don't care if you're going to send in the National Guard. Something has to change in Birmingham. And if Randall Woodfin wants to address what's going on in his city, he should actually take some concrete steps to do something, as opposed to putting concrete barriers on the streets inside neighborhoods and blaming others for the failure. The same laws that are over the city of Birmingham are over the cities of Huntsville and Mobile and every other city in the state. They have a problem that is outsized. Why? Why is that? It has nothing to do with Glock switches or concealed carry permits or any of that nonsense. It's about a police department that has been demoralized, that isn't able to do their job. Call in help. If you want to fix this, call in help. Do that instead of making up nonsense about Glock switches not being illegal enough.